So you should be on my screen now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just
All right,
just
Professor,
for
I'm gonna
beginners.
take over here. Don't forget to pin me for the recording. So there's that. And hello, students. So once again, welcome to another session with me where I am taking you along with me, just like I did last year. Last year, I took you along in a journey about a series of connected sessions. That's really what I do here for AIU. I talk about not individual items. It is always a series of connected sessions spread over many months. So when you're watching this video, I request you to make notes when you can, and these sessions will be very dense, which means I'm packing a lot of information for you. So make sure you take notes. And of course, once the recording is uploaded, please do watch it again, and so that you can unpack all the information that I'm giving you. And of course, the previous session, that this is session number 3, which means 2 sessions have already happened. So if you're coming in just now, then you may, it is a good idea, not may, you should go back and watch the previous 2 sessions before coming in. And of course, keep following up on the future sessions until you reach the end. So we have a very long plan for you guys here, and each part plays a very critical role. Now, before I start, what I do want to do here is I wanted to share a file here, Professor. I did share it last time as well, but I am going to go ahead and I'm going to share that to everybody. It's a small document I prepared for this class. I call it a one sheet. It has one sheet of essential information for these classes. So I'm just sending it. Hold on. There we go. Dr. Watson, do you see a file being sent from my PC, sir?
Uh,
In the chat box.
on the chat box, yes, I can see it.
Okay, there you go, guys. Make sure you download a copy of that. It is like a one sheet. Let me just open that for you and just walk you through it. That's really part of the essentials here.
Okay.
There you go. So this is like a single document that I've shared with you. So it has some important links which are part of our learning experience here. So first, I have shared a link called front end for students, which is here. It contains some front end projects, some of which we will be going through in these sessions, like in the future sessions. But of course, if you're curious, you can always go ahead and try it out on your own. I usually leave behind a lot of steps on how to run them on your own, even with minimal knowledge. Second thing, I've provided another link to some demo projects. Demo projects which talk about Next.js. Okay, that is something also we'll be doing in our sessions. And after that, of course, my own account. I already spoke about GitHub in other sessions. So we will be using GitHub here. You'll be seeing me use GitHub a lot in these sessions. So if you're on GitHub, don't forget to go to that link, and there'll be a follow button here for you when you visit that link from the one sheet. Don't forget to follow me so that when I update things, make changes, add new projects, you'll be notified immediately. But again, I'm not some social media guy. You don't have to follow me. It's just a humble request, no mandatory or anything like that. And finally, now this is important, guys. Now, whenever you have a coding question, so I have this forum. It's like a forum. Like you might have used Reddit or coding forums. You can see here students come and ask questions, and I always reply within 12 to 24 hours. So there you go, folks. So there is an entire ecosystem available for you. So it's not just this 1 hour I'm talking about. So it's a series of connected videos and projects which are ready, tested, battle tested, because I work as a tutor. I do coding sessions for multiple companies, and these are code is being constantly, if there are any errors, they're fixed. New projects are being added regularly and stuff like that. And finally, you can also follow me so that when I make changes, add new things, or if you have any questions or something, you can come and see what I'm up to. And finally, there is a discussion space. So for those of you who really want to get involved, like in these videos at the end, we only have like 5-10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes to ask questions, like 40-45 minutes of presentation, and then maybe 15 minutes of questions. That's about it. After that, I'm gone. But the discussion forum is open. You can come and ask questions, and then get responses from me and I usually reply within 12 to 24 hours. So there you go, folks. There's an entire ecosystem for you. So keep that PDF document, download it, email it to yourself or something, and use the links there. And of course, there I've also put other things. Like in this course, there is this website called Free Code Camp. Now today I am talking about essentials, right? That's what this session is about. So I'm just walking you through all the essentials. So don't forget that there is this the link is put there. It is for the syllabus that I'm following. Now obviously this is a very, very big syllabus. There are some 200 to 300 chapters. Okay, so there's no way we can cover all that in these brief sessions. However, I will be picking the top 5%, 10% essential concepts, but this course is free. That's why it's called Free Code Camp. And I know many students, many learners, so this is very, very popular. And a lot of people who learn coding with this website and have gotten themselves jobs, internships, and freelancing careers and all that. So this is the syllabus I'm using. So that link is also there in my one sheet that I've shared with you. Then, of course, for those of you who really want to go, super deep into programming, of course, you have the Mozilla Developer Network, MDN. So those of you who want to go deep and deep, like a college degree or something, you want to go deep into this, then this is the website. So I've included that also in the one sheet document. Finally, there are some videos. I'm not going to open all of them. Like I'm sure you'll explore it on your own. So remember, we are using this thing called VS Code. I'll be showing that today. Obviously, we'll be using Firefox browser. I'll be showing a little bit of that as well today. And of course, I have made some videos. I've recorded some videos about some basics of programming. I put all those video collections. It's not one video. I made a lot of videos. So I've shared the YouTube playlist, which contain many videos. Hopefully, you will watch them because some of the stuff we'll be doing in these sessions. Not everything because we don't have too much time, right? Finally, I've left you guys some advice, some general advice that you need to know to become a developer. I mean, obviously, I'll be talking about it, of course, but still, it's good that you can just look at this every day when you're learning. Just go through it, check out the links if you have any questions. As I mentioned, I do have this discussion forum. Please feel free to come and ask questions, and I will try to reply to questions within 12 to 24 hours. So that is about the one sheet here. Dr. Wilson, was that kind of clear, sir? Like the importance of this. Dr. Wilson is nodding. So if he's getting it, then I'm gonna assume all of you are getting it. So there you go, guys. Keep that document. If you possible, take a printout as well. Otherwise, just keep the PDF in your email or just send a chat message to yourself. That is something I do a lot. Like in WhatsApp or Telegram or something, there is an option where you can chat with yourself. You might think that is weird. Not really. You know how people take notes? Like I always tell people, like I always show this journal to Dr. Watson. I have these leather bound journals where I make notes about everything I do in my life, personal life stuff, professional life stuff, future plans, all that. So just like that in chats, not everybody wants to carry a big leather bound journal in their pocket. So in your phone you have WhatsApp, Telegram, and all of them have an option to chat with yourself. So when you're learning something, you can just leave notes to yourself. That's like a diary, right? So do use that. Put this file in the diary with yourself, and so it'll remind you and so on. Well, anyway, so that's about the one sheet that I wanted to talk to you about. So let's keep going then. What other developer essentials should you be knowing about? Next thing is VS Code Editor. VS stands for Visual Studio. Now you will know that Microsoft is the company in programming. So they do this thing called Visual Studio, right? You can see right here, right? Now, please understand that in Visual Studio is what is called, no, this is just Visual Studio, but don't forget, we are using VS Code Editor. Now, there are two separate things. So I'm just going to tell you what this is all about. Now, Visual Studio is a IDE. An IDE is, integrated development environment. Okay, so it is used to build software, specifically software using C# and .NET. All right, now this is something which only runs on Windows, so this is mainly for Windows developers and so on. However, we are talking about front-end development. So that means we'll be using what is called as VS Code Editor. So let's try that. So here, if you go here again, and I'm going to say, there it is. So I'll search for VS Code editor. This is what I'm really talking about. So this is the one, the link is already there in the one sheet. Okay, so I don't have to put the link in the chat. That's another reason why I made the one sheet. There are so many important links I want to share with you, but I keep sharing them in the chat. It might get lost. Okay, so this link is already there in the one sheet. So depending on what type of computer you're using, please go ahead and download that version onto your computer. Okay, because everything that we are going to do, like today and even the next session, we may not do that much coding, but once we have all the basics covered, I'll be doing a lot of coding concepts. It'll become a full-on coding session. But before you can do that, you have to make sure you have all the tools installed on your machine, right? So make sure you have VS Code. Now, how does it look though? How does VS Code look? So let's go ahead and find out then. So what I'll do here is I'll go to the links I've shared with you. I have these projects, right? I have all these projects here, right? I have all these projects here and everything. So let's say what I'll do is today, I don't want to run any projects myself. What I really want to do here is I just want to show you how VS Code looks. So what I'll do is I'll just go to W3 Schools, another nice website for doing things. And here I'll take this very simple HTML example. So there you go. On the left side, you have HTML, and on the right side you have the output. Now right now I can go here, I can say, now I see here on the screen, I'll just type Dr. Walson's name. So I'm going to just put a paragraph tag here. Hold on, there you go, opening tag, closing tag, and I'm going to say Dr. Walson education specialist, and then I'm going to hit the run button, and there you go. You can see here, Dr. Walson, are you able to see your name, sir? Dr. Watson is nodding. So there you go, guys. So that's a very simple coding. We'll go into deep into coding later, but I just want to show you how this works. So I was able to type the code here, and I was able to see the output here. But this is happening in an online browser environment. But real coding, what we do is we use editors. So let's try to do the same thing in VS Code. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to go ahead and launch VS Code. I already have it installed on my machine. And then what I'm going to do is I need a folder first. Okay, so I am going to go to my desktop. Now I'm going to go to, hold on. I need to check. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go to my desktop. And there you go. I'm going to create a folder. Today is July 23rd. So I'm going to say, hold on. I'm going to say July 23rd, 2024. I'm just going to call this hello world. So first step is create a folder on your machine. Not right now, watch the video recording later and try these things. Now just watch and make notes. So I'm going to create a folder here, July 23rd, 2024, hello world. Next, I'll come to VS Code and I'm going to say file. Now don't see, I'm doing it on a Mac. The steps are the same on a Windows as well. On the top left corner, go to file, and you'll see something called open folder. So I'm going to do it one more time. So let me just quit VS Code. There you go. I create the folder here, right? You already have it on desktop. I'll run VS Code. I'll go to top left corner, file, open folder. Very simple, very straightforward. Okay, so now let's go ahead and open that folder. So I'm going to go ahead and say open folder, and I'm here on the desktop. Okay, and this is the folder I want, and I just open. Usually I'll get some warning and stuff like that, so that's fine. I'll just allow it. It says, do you trust this folder? Of course I trust it. It's my computer. I created the folder, so I'm going to trust it. That's done. Now what I want to do is I have this code here. I was able to show Dr. Walson's name. Let me make it a little bit bigger, shall we? So I'll go here. What I'll say is I'll make Dr. Walson's name bigger and the next line in a smaller sentence. So let me get rid of this line. Okay, now you'll see here, this is called the heading tag, the H1 tag. So I want to say Dr. Walson. I'm going to cut this from this line. I'm going to remove this line. There you go. Now you see, and I want to say, all right, here we go. There it is. So I have the HTML, very basic stuff. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys how, if I want to do this on VS Code, right? I'm talking about VS Code today. How would I do it? So I have the folder created. I'll right click, new file, index.html. Because all HTML files need to have extension called index.html. So there it is. Okay, there it is. Now I'll come back here. I don't want to type everything again because I already did some typing. So I'm just going to say Command A, Command C, Command Tab, and then I'm going to say Command V. And I think I should make that a little bit bigger, Dr. Watson. I don't think everybody can see this. So let me just try to zoom in, sir. Appearance, there it is. Command equals. Okay, Dr. Watson, let me know when it is large enough, sir. Is this enough, sir? Or should I make it even bigger? Okay, Dr. Watson approves for this size. Okay, I'll keep it this one then. Okay, all right. So there you go, guys. So I want to just make it smaller. There you go. So I have this, but you'll notice here we have the code on the left side and the output on the right side. But here in VS Code, I don't have that yet. So what do I do? How do I get the output to come on the right side of the screen? Now, on the left side, again, is very important. You'll see here there's a square symbol with one square floating away. Dr. Watson, do you see that, sir? Now, this is called extensions, guys. So whenever you want to do something in VS Code, we have to add or download these extensions. Think of it like when you buy a mobile phone. Your smartphone doesn't actually have all the things you use. You have to download and install the apps that are useful for your learning. Okay, so let's say if you want to travel or something, then you will have to go ahead and install the Uber app or whatever is the app in your country. So similarly, I'm trying to do some web programming. I need to install an extension. It's like installing an app for this. So I'll go here and you'll see that I already have a extension called live preview. Okay, so let me go ahead and get the link for that. I think the link is right here. Let me see if I can just get it from here. Copy. Okay, let me see if I can send it on the chat box. All right, guys, I've sent you the list on the chat box as well. So that is the extension. Now, this is something you have to make a note though, because after the Zoom session is over, the link will disappear. So please go ahead and make a copy of it or just write down and then later you can search for it in the extension. It's up to you how you want to do it. So right then, so I have shared the link with you. So that you want to install that extension. So right now it's already installed, so I'm good with it. So there'll be a button called install here. Just go ahead and install it. It'll take like a few seconds. Now, once you have the extension, you'll see here. Let me see if I can get a marker with this one. Okay, there we go. So, Dr. Watson, do you notice a very tiny symbol with like a window with the magnifying glass, Professor? I've drawn a green arrow. Yes, Professor. There you go. So, guys, that symbol will come after you've installed the extension. So with that symbol, I can see a preview. That's what the extension is called, live preview. So we want to preview what the output is going to look like. That's why it's called a preview. So let me erase this. Okay, now come back to this one. So I'm going to go here. I'm just going to say preview, and there you go. Now that's what we are trying to show you here, how to use VS Code for some basic coding. Now, obviously, we'll be doing a lot more than just basic coding in upcoming sessions. But today, the main thing for me is I wanted to show you guys how to open VS Code. It may seem very simple, but I know as a tutor that there are a lot of new students out there who have never used an editor. First time developer. That is for whom these sessions are really for. That's why it's called JavaScript for beginners. It's not JavaScript for intermediate learners. So very beginners. So I'm going a little bit detailed there. I mean, I'll go faster in the future, but today I want to go a little bit slow with this one. So there you go, folks. So VS Code, you go ahead, install the extension, you'll see the preview. And in the top, you see here, there's a link. It's like a URL, we call it URL, right? That's a website address. So copy that and then come to Firefox. And you'll see the same output on your browser. Dr. Watson, now you should be able to see your name 2 times, Professor. Once in VS Code and the other one in the Firefox browser. So this is a normal setup for all our coding sessions, my dear students. So I'll be using VS Code to code everything. As I mentioned, I mean, I won't be doing too much of HTML, just a little bit here and there, but I will be going deep into JavaScript concepts. But yes, so the output will usually be seen here, or I'll go to the Firefox and show the output on Firefox on the right side. So that is about VS Code. That is one of the most essential tool that you'll be using in your coding journey. Now, the next thing, now I showed you how the editor looks, how to type code and everything. The next thing is I showed you how to use the extension. One more thing I want to do is I want to show you some terminal and git commands. Now here, now those of you who are coming into the session from the previous sessions will remember that I mentioned that you have to go ahead and create a GitHub account, install Git and stuff like that. Now I'm hoping some of you were able to do it. Okay, so assuming that you did do it, otherwise you'll go back and watch the videos and do it again. Let me go ahead and show you some Git commands with the terminal. Okay, but before I go though, Professor Wilson, I just want to make sure, like, just the introduction part of VS Code, you are in the clear, sir. You understand what is happening, what has been done so far. Okay, all right, guys. So that part is good then. So now, what are the basic Git commands? Now, there is a blog post for this as well. So let me go ahead and quickly get that blog post for you and share that for you in the chat before I go to the next step. Hold on.
One thing that I would like to interject real quick for our participants, if you send out a message to other participants, they are not going to message. That's the way the system is programmed.
Oh, they won't see it, Professor?
Yes, personally, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling the participants because sometimes they attempt to share messages with other participants. Their messages, I'm telling them, it cannot be seen by other participants. If I input something in the chat box, or the presenter, in this case, Professor Jay, put something in the chat box, you are going to see it. The point here is for you, ladies and gentlemen, to double check the chat box. There is a huge amount of information that Jay is sharing right at this time. And pretty much like he said at the end of the session, whatever chat box will disappear. So it is highly recommended that you double check whatever is in there right at this time so that you do not end up losing that precious information currently in the chat box. Sorry for the interruption, Jay.
No, that's okay, Professor. That's all right. No problem. No problem. I'm just getting the link here, guys. 1 second. Professor, I don't know why, but
Well, you have an issue, Professor J?
like when I'm typing, Professor, the Zoom thing keeps interrupting my typing. I don't know why that happens.
That is a little
I don't
funny.
think it's on you, Professor. I think they changed something
No,
recently. I don't know why.
not on
Anyway,
me at
Professor,
all.
I no,
Right.
like when I'm typing, like I have to keep clicking back to the main link just to get back to typing. I don't know why it does that. Anyway, something new. I think they made some changes, Professor. Like even the whiteboard, it used to be so fast. But for the last 1 month, it takes like an extra 10 seconds to
Wow.
load. I don't know if you have noticed it. They made some changes as well.
Yes, I hope our technical department will look into this and eventually
Oh, that's not on you,
some
Professor. That's
correction.
on Zoom. I don't think there's anything you or I can do about it. It's just something that I think they're trying some new features, and
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah. It's not on you, Professor. No, no, no. I've been
Okay.
complaining about it with in other places as well. It's something the Zoom people are doing. Maybe they're just working on the new features.
All
It's like a new
right.
car. It takes some time to get used to. Yeah. So guys, there you go. I've sent you the link on the chat box. Here, I've sent it to everyone, so all of you should be able to see it. So go ahead and keep that link with you when you're practicing this session. Now, what does that link contain? So there you go. This is the link I'm talking about. and you'll see that this is called GitHub Essentials, and it's a very, very big post. Okay, so but I'm just going to go and focus on the main things. So the first thing here, my dear students, is for you to go ahead and let's say create a repository. That's really what you want to do here. So I'm going to go to my github.com account, and here I'm going to say, now again, like I said, we are packing a lot of things in this session. So just watch, make notes, and then rehearse, and practice a lot. So here I'm going to say, this is a temporary repository. So I'm going to call this temp repo July 23rd, 2024. Okay. And then here I'm going to say, okay, just showing the class, have to use JIT. All right. Now I'm going to make this private. Okay. You also do the same thing. I'm going to add this thing called readme file. Git ignore, we are doing JavaScript, which falls under node. There you go. And then here I'm going to say create repository. Okay. Now there you go. So I have a repository. So I created a repository. The next thing I want to do here is I want to clone the repository. Okay, CLONE, clone. I want to clone the repository. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to hit the clone button. Okay, there it is. And then what I'll do is I'll go to my VS Code. Okay, and here what I want to do is I want to go on the top. There's something called terminal. Now again, the steps are same on both Mac and Windows. I'll go to terminal, new terminal, and I'm going to say GIT CLONE paste. Okay. And now whatever I copied, that is called the clone URL. Let me just show that to you one more time. So you see here, once you create a repository, green button, go down, you get a pop-up as well, copy URL to clipboard. That is called the clone URL. You see it right here, clone using the web URL. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I copy, I come back to VS Code, I come to the bottom, but before I do that, I go to the top. Let me just close it and show again. So go to the top, terminal, and then new terminal, and I'm going to say git clone, and then I'm going to paste it. Whatever I copied, I paste it. And after that, I'll go and press enter. Now, please understand, you can only do this step if you already did the GitHub steps we talked about in the previous session. If you haven't done that step, go back and watch the video. And as I mentioned, I've given you the one sheet, which has many YouTube tutorials about GitHub. I think I made some 4-5 hours of GitHub videos. Very detailed about this step. So if you did everything correctly, you should get a message that says receiving objects 100%, 4x4 done. So if you're getting that, that means you're on track. So until you get that, keep trying. And if you get stuck, don't forget to ask questions on my GitHub forum that I told you about. Okay, now we have cloned it. What is the next step? Let's see. So I want to go here again. I want to close this one. So this specific code that I opened. So I'm going to say file, close folder. It's gone. Now I want to open the new repository that I cloned. So I'm going to say open. And here I'm going to go to desktop. And here I'm going to say, there you go, July 23rd. And here it is. Remember the one I created, temp repo, July 23rd. And I'm going to say open again. And there it is. So whatever file I created, it is now on my computer. Now let's just give it a try, right? Now you look at this. This is the word, right? Temp repo, July 23rd, 2024. If I go back to my GitHub account, you see the exact same word. Do you see that, Dr. Walton? So this means this file on the GitHub and the file on VS Code, they are both the same thing, which means whatever changes I make online are available here. Whatever changes I make here get pushed to online as well. So I just want to show you how to use GitHub. That's what this is about. So to see how GitHub works, we have to make some changes, which means line changes, file changes. These are the main changes we make. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, okay, doing another session with Dr. Walson for AIU about basic GitHub usage. So I just added a line. You can see here, like before, I don't know if you noticed it, there was no numbers or anything, but now it says 2. That means I have made 2 changes. Now I've made a line change. I want to make a file change as well. So I'll go here and I'll say right click, and I'm going to say just some file. just some file.md. I just created another file, okay? And I'm going to say, I'll say just some file. Okay, there you go. So now what I want to do here is I'll say, okay, just created another file. Professor Watson, I found out what the issue is. So like every time someone joins the room, Zoom keeps interrupting me. It wasn't happening before. I don't think it's on you. So I think they're really trying something new. It's not on you, Professor. Yeah, now I just realized why it's happening. Yeah, there we go. So just created another file. Okay, now you'll see on the left side, you'll see now the number of changes is now 3 because I made 3 changes since the project started. So we'll stop at 3 changes. It's fine. Now the next step is I've created some files. I made some changes and I need to push these changes from the computer to online on GitHub. That's what we are trying to do. Now, why do we even use GitHub? I already spent many minutes explaining in the previous video. GitHub is where you go to back up your code. As a developer, you want to make sure your code is stored online every time you write some code. And also, when you're working on a project, you're working with your coworkers, you're working with your students, you have to collaborate as well. So collaboration can only happen if you're using something like GitHub. So that is why we use GitHub. Okay. So I'll go here again. I'm going to open up the terminal. At the bottom, I get a nice small window. Here, I'm going to try some commands. So again, that article I sent you, very, very important. Please don't miss it because, all the commands I'm typing is already in the article, or you can write down now as I'm doing it. So the first command I'm going to do is git space status. Okay. And when you do that, it'll tell you all the changes that you have done. Okay, it's all in red color. That means the changes are there, but I haven't added them yet. So next I'm going to say git space add space dot. Okay, now if I do git status, you'll see that the files have now become green color because of the git add command. The next step I'm going to do is git space commit. Okay, and then another window shows up. And I'm going to press A for alpha. And here I'm going to say made some changes. Okay, and press enter twice and say, okay, added a file, added some new lines to the README file, and then just showing how to use GitHub for the class. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press escape with my left hand, very important, left hand. And then with my right hand, I'm going to say shift colon. You'll see there's a very tiny colon on the bottom of the screen. And then I'm going to type W as in whiskey, Q as in Quebec, and press enter. Now, I will tell you, as a tutor, I've been doing this for many, many years, but you're watching it for the first time. It sounds very confusing, but this is programming. So again, make whatever notes you can make. I've shared you the link and then repeat the video. Okay, watch the video again and again. This is a coding session. Pause the video, repeat it, go back 10 seconds, go back 30 seconds, but please watch it again and again. And the last step is git space push. And when you do that, once again, you're going to see something happening and it's going to say writing objects 100%, usually 5 out of 5. That means your code has been pushed online to GitHub. But we need to confirm that, right? So I'm going to go back to my website where I created it. And I'm going to say, okay, where did I create it? Where did I create it? Here it is. So this is how it was before I made any changes. But now watch carefully. When I reload the page, see what happens. So I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to say reload. Voila. Did you see that? Dr. Watson, are you able to see? So whatever I typed on my computer, it is now uploaded onto the internet. And you'll also see that I created another file called just some file. Are you able to see that, Professor? This is a new file that I added. And I typed some sentence as well. See, like just create another file. Now, this is the beauty of GitHub, my dear students. So you are going to be software developers. You're going to code as well. You have to back up your code. You got to back up your files, to GitHub. And when it's online, you can share it with your team members. You can work as a team. So two reasons why we use GitHub: backing up your code, as and when you're working. And the second reason is collaborating with other developers. So these are the two reasons why we use GitHub. Now, as I mentioned, the steps are complex. Some of you have already been like, oh, this is so confusing, but it is what it is. We are learning programming. Nobody expects programming to be easy. But what we can do is, like I said, watch the video again and again, put it on repeat, look at the steps I shared with you, look at the links I've shared with you, and try to follow along. Okay, so that is about how to use VS Code. I've shown you how the editor looks and feels. I've shown you where you can download it. I've shown you how to install extensions, how to use extensions, why we use extensions. And of course, I've shown you how to use the terminal where you can type commands. And I've also given you a quick rundown on the Git commands. Let's move on to some general information I want to give you before I go to the next item. So there are some things you have to do here. So once again, please go ahead and make a note of this in your notebook. First step is, when you start your developer journey, please go ahead and set up your own GitHub profile. Okay, this should be like a goal for you. If you go here, you'll see like I go to my account and I can see that, I have my face, obviously, some details about me, some links about me, my email address, my portfolio, all those things are already here. Second thing, you'll see on the right side, I have some projects. I have some C sharp projects. I teach C sharp, right? So obviously I have a C sharp project. I teach front end. That's what I'm doing right now. JavaScript, HTML, Bootstrap, React JS. That's what I'm doing right now. So there you go. I have a repository for that as well. And Next.js for student. That's another thing we're going to do cover in our session. So all the information I need for my work is displayed. So whenever somebody wants to know about me as a developer, like if I'm applying for a project as a freelancer, that's what I do. I work as a freelancer. So I usually share them my GitHub profile. So it's like social media for a developer person. So please make sure, in the beginning, you won't have anything to show, but you can always put a nice photo. You can put all the details here on how to contact you and start uploading projects you worked on. Now, obviously, you can see here, I have worked on many more projects. Like I have many projects here, but the main thing is the project, which is, public project, which is what I really care about. These are the things I want people to see. Okay, so there you go. That is about your GitHub profile. Make it look as nice as possible. Every month, once in a month, once, twice a month, please add some projects so people who apply for a job or apply for an internship or apply for freelancing work, they can see what you're up to. So that is the significance of the GitHub profile. Dr. Watson, does that make sense, sir? The GitHub profile, why it is useful for developers. Okay, very good. The next thing you want to do is, like again, while you're applying for jobs, internship, freelancing, the next thing that you want to do is there's another website called Lead Code. Okay, now many of you may have heard about it already, or you're hearing about it right now. Now, Lead Code is a website which is, like when you apply for a software job, usually what they do is they will ask you to take an online coding test. It's very common, especially for coding internships and software jobs. The first step is, like obviously you have to submit your resume and all that. But the second step is, if your resume is shortlisted, is they will send you a link. You click on the link, and then how you join today's session. You got a link, right? Similarly, there'll be a coding link, and they will use something like Lead Code. I already have an account. Let me see if I can just log in while I'm talking to you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, hold on. There you go. I'm just signing in. Continue. There you go. I'm signed in. Okay. So this is how it looks. So if I go here, okay, and I'm just going to show you an example here how it looks. So there you go. So this is how it kind of looks, guys. Okay, so Lead Code is where you are given a puzzle or something, and then you go ahead and try to solve it, and then you will get like a ability to practice and think over. Like, for example, if I go to my account, okay, I'm just going to go to my profile. You'll see that I'm not a heavy, lead code user. I have solved, you can see I've solved some problems. It tells me like I'm in the top 60% or something. It's not bad. I'm not a lead code guy, but I see a lot of people, freshers, they spend a lot of time on lead code. So the more you solve, okay, the more problems you solve, the more you actually go ahead and learn programming. And there is a free, so like I'm using the premium account, but the free account is just as good. A premium account, they just have some extra features, that's it. So this is the lead code website. Okay, I think I should put the link in the chat. Hold on, let me do that for you. Okay, there it is. Okay, all right, I put the link there as well, or you can just Google it as well. So LeetCode is a website, especially for those of you who are new. It is a great place to go build up your profile, build up your resume, and start practicing and becoming better at programming. Dr. Watson, is that introduction to LeetCode? Are you able to? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Very good, sir. So let's keep going, guys. The last thing is a demo project. Now, at the end of the day, now this is something which we'll be doing here. Like I'm starting with the basics here. At the end of the session, I'll be showing you how to build a demo project. Now, you saw here on my GitHub, I'm not going to go too deep into demo project today. Like, for example, if I go on my account, I see that all these projects I have, they are like demo projects. So before you go and apply for a job, you should have at least one demo project with you. So that is what you're going to learn at the end of the series of workshops. We are actually going to build a demo project at the end of the session, like not today, like when the end of the series of sessions. So before we can build a demo project, though, you have to learn a lot of things. Okay, so all right, so we'll come to the demo session later, guys. I just want to let you know what exactly we are planning for you and so on. All right, then. Now the next tool, we saw VS Code and all the things that you can do with it. So today, and here I want to show you about Firefox and what we really do with it. How does it look, what do we do, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Right now, Firefox is just a browser, and that is the browser we'll be using in all these projects. So let me go ahead and quickly get that up and running for you. So what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and put Firefox on one side. 1 second, let me just get a sample project for you. Okay, all right. Okay, what I need is, okay, I have a sample project here. Now, next thing, what I want to do is I want to go back to my folder here. Okay, there we go. Now I have the same repository that I talked about. I'm going to go ahead and create a simple file. I'm going to say index.html. Okay. And here, what I want to do is I want to go back to W3 schools. Okay. I want this same thing from before. Right. I'm going to go back to VS Code. I'm just going to put it here. And the next thing, what I want is I want to show you guys how I would add a script file. So I'm going to use one of my example projects. There it is. And then what I'll do here is, if you look at the bottom, I have put, I will say something like script, this one. This is what I want. So I'll take this. I'll come back here and I am going to say script. Okay, there we go. And here I'm going to say script.js. And here I'm going to say script. Okay, and now on the left side, I'm going to say script.js. Now, what I want to do is, once again, I want to go and I'm going to use the preview option. All right, that's good. Now, I'm trying to show you how Firefox works. So let's go ahead and make this smaller. Okay, I'm going to take this URL. It's a lot of steps. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And I'm going to put this here. Good. Okay. Now I know it's working because I have the same thing here and here. Now what I want to do is, you'll see, let me get my marker because I'm doing this for the first time for you. Once again, Dr. Watson, do you see, sir, there's a very tiny ribbon on the top right corner. I'm writing a big arrow so you can see it, sir. No, guys, that's what, again, I'm going to just hold on there. I'll let the recording record that. No, I'm going to draw another arrow just to show you here a very tiny 3 ribbons. Okay, very important to have that. So now what I'll do is I'll go here and I want to say more tools. I think I did that really fast. So I'll click on this and you'll get a menu. And then you scroll down, you'll see something called more tools. Again, I'm going to slow down so the recording picks that up. If I do fast, you might miss it. And then here, the very first option is, Watson is smiling for some reason. I don't know why. Hopefully I did something funny. So the last thing is the web developer tools, guys. So click on that and you'll get web developer tools. Okay, I don't like it when it's on the bottom, but I'll leave there as it is because I don't have too much space here. Okay, so let me repeat that step one more time, but a little bit more faster. So let's start over. Okay, let me just close this as well. Okay, close. Okay, so I have the code here. Now, what I'll do is first step, I'll click on this symbol thing, right? I get the output. I'll go to the top, copy, then I'll go to Firefox. Okay, it's opening. What I want is, I want a new Firefox window, not the old one. There you go. And then I'm going to dump this link on the right side. Okay, I got it. I'll click on the menu, more tools, web developer tools, and you'll see something called console. Ross, you're able to follow me, sir. Yes. Okay. All right. Now, the only thing I want to check before I wrap up and open up questions is, now I see the console, which is like, blinking. You can see on the bottom, there's a slight blinking. That's what I really want. But how do we know it's actually working, guys? So on the left side, I'll go to script.js. And here I'm going to say console.log. And then I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Hold on. Just close this. Oh, there you go. And I'm going to say, hello, Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson, do you see your name showing up on the bottom of the screen on the right side? So there you go. That's really why we use Firefox. I mean, there are many, many things we do with Firefox. But for today, just to get you started, we write the code on the left side of the window. That is the VS code. And then we look at the output on the top area, and then we look at the JavaScript output, which is where we'll be spending most of our time in the bottom console area. Okay, so if you can do this much, that means you have taken your first step towards becoming a JavaScript developer. If you can do this much, do all the Git commands and all that. So before you wrap up, so we've written some code. Let's go ahead and do something very simple, right? Just to give you a taste of what is coming in the future session. So what is programming really? We make the computer do things for us. So let's do that. So let's say I have two numbers, very simple, two numbers. So I'm going to say var first number equals 10. I'll show you what var is in the next session. Next, I'll have another number, var second number equals 20. 20. So I have two numbers, 10 and 20. Now, we know what equals first number plus
I am temporarily losing you, Professor Jay. Are you there?
second number.
We have lost you temporarily, Professor Jay.
Am I back, sir? Am I back now?
Yes, I do realize that. I was telling you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Professor. Professor, there is a little bit of overcast. I don't know how to explain this, but whenever there's a cloud passing over my house, the internet drops. I don't know how else it's been happening with my other customers. Sorry about that, Professor. It's the weather thing.
Okay.
Sorry. Right. Anyway, I'm back now. So it's like a few seconds, but it is annoying. I'll give you that when that happens. So anyway, I'm back now. Okay. So there you go. What I was trying to say is I have the first number, which is 10. I have the second number, which is 20. And then finally, the total is 10 plus 20, which is 30. But I don't see it yet. I don't see it on the screen. How do I show it? So I'll go to the next line, and I'm going to say console.log. The output is, and I'm going to say total. And you'll see on the right side, I don't know if I can zoom this. Usually terminal cannot be zoomed. So you guys have to just look really hard on your screen. You'll see that the output is 30. Now look on the left side. I never type 30 by hand. I have 10 and 20. That's on me. But then I was able to use JavaScript programming to perform calculation and get the output 30. Now that is what we are going to teach you guys. We are going to teach you how to use JavaScript along with HTML, Bootstrap, Firefox, VS Code, Git commands. It's a lot of things, but that is what programming is. You cannot escape the complexity of it. That's why I keep telling you these sessions are only like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, but I am packing a lot of things. It's gonna get very, very dense for you. You have to rewatch, and not just this video, the previous video, the next video, the links I share with you, the YouTube videos. I mean, if programming was easy, then everyone would become a programmer. So I mean, obviously that is why programming pays you well, because not everyone can do it. But hopefully you can do it. Hopefully I'm a good teacher and you are a good student. Anyway, guys, so let's do the last thing. Before we wrap up, we have to do some Git commands that I showed you before. Once again, I'm going to go to the terminal, git status, git add dot. Okay, I'm going to do this really fast because I already showed you this in slow motion. I'm going to say wrapping up for today for question staking. Press escape, shift colon, WQ, git status, git push. It's going to say 100% now. Okay, there you go. I'm going to go back to my Safari. I'm going to go here where I created it. Hold on. There it is. And if I go here, there you go. You'll see here, Professor, that I created a file called script.js where I typed your name, sir. You see that here, sir. And the code I wrote, first number, second number, total, there you go. So it's all backed up online. So there you go, my dear students. Obviously there's more things I have to teach you. Oh, just Git commands. Yeah, support for student community and all that. Yeah, oh yeah, I did cover everything I want to show you. Okay, all right then. So Professor, I'm open for questions. So.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Jay. You've been really, as usual, brothers and sisters, what we just got from our subject matter expert. Highly technical session have proved somewhat complex and even confusing to a certain extent. But I love that expression that repeated over and over. It is. Those are the types of things that you need to in order to get into programming. But
Yes,
Professor Jay was nice enough to have packed a lot of links as he recommended, and I convey that to you as well. You should pay attention. He has put on the chat box multiple huge amount of data and information that you really need in order to get into this. So you should take advantage of that. Professor J also recommended that you keep watching the videos, the sessions over and over. It is a hands-on activity which requires that not only you try your best to understand what is being said, but also that you download the VS Code. Lombayi Longa for the first question. And we are ready for you, brother.
Hello, doctor. How are you?
Doing just fine. Thank you for asking.
Good. Yes. Thanks, Jay. I'm just going to ask this question here. I want to know if you have like a database. You want to have a database whereby you're going to like having the matriculation, like course matriculation to put it in the system.
Let me interrupt you real quick, Lombayi. I don't know if Professor Jay is getting it, but the sound is sort of muffled down.
Okay.
We cannot hear very well. If that continues, I would suggest that you type in your question in the chat channel.
All right.
And
Okay,
Professor
I'll do
Jay
that.
will do his best to respond.
Oh yeah, I see the question. I think they put it there, Professor.
Okay.
Are you asking about the crowd strike situation?
No, I'm not asking about that.
Oh, okay. Then it's not then. Then you might as well type the question, because I also was about to say that I know you're speaking, but I have no idea what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But there is a question, Professor. So I'm going to answer that
All right.
while
Go
this
ahead.
question is typed. So they're asking about, Professor, this week, well, last week, this week is still ongoing. There was a worldwide global outage, Professor, on computers which are running Windows. It was in the news, especially in America
Yes,
and
over the
airlines and
last
stuff like that.
weekend. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So they're asking like without proper testing. So, guys, this is the thing, though. Like, guys, you have to understand that these updates happen every day on millions of computers. Like by some estimate, there are some 100 million Windows computers doing essential things, right? I think about that. Windows has been there for like 40 years. I mean, I'm a Microsoft guy, so I'm obviously a Microsoft fan. I'm not trying to defend Microsoft, just being objective about it. So they push updates every day, around the clock, all the time. Every now and then, all the systems fail. All the checkings in place. A developer makes a mistake, something, maybe that one guy was in a rush and forgot to check something important. So that's what I believe happened. Like they do this all the time. They have systems in place, but sometimes something just slips through. But yes, the losses are catastrophic. I'm sure there are legal implications as well for the companies involved and all that. Yeah, that happens, guys. But ultimately, I'm sure they're testing it, but something fell through the crack. That's all I can say. I mean, because they push updates every day. But of course, nobody notices when something happens good, right? I mean, because if something is working, like Zoom right now, like I was complaining about, when I'm typing, it's interrupting. Otherwise, nobody cares. Like Zoom is doing all this, right? I mean, we've been using it for so many years, and we rarely complain. But today, here I am, like, oh, Zoom is messing up. Sometimes things go bad, technology. I mean, I've been doing computers for 20, 25 years now, and I know the challenges involved in running such mass systems. So, sure, there are problems, but I'm just happy there are less problems. Like one problem after so many years, I think we should just let it go. What is the next question, Professor?
Thank you. Jima Musa Bari. Go ahead, Jima.
Okay, you're getting me.
I can hear you. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, I have a question because this is a positive topic to me, because now I'm seeing a lot of link and also I'm seeing a lot of stuff. I have something here is saying how to use the terminal and the git commands, because this one I'm getting confused here.
That's the thing, Jima. No, the Git thing, by my estimation, it'll take you at least 2 to 3 hours to learn, if not more. So my request to you is to, like, as we mentioned before, watch the video again, and I've shared a link with you. Were you able to make a copy of that? The link I shared with you, the Medium link. I'm just going to open that one more time for you on the screen right now. Did you copy this link? Did you open this link, sir?
I saw it here, but I've not opened.
Exactly. So I would request you to go through the article slowly, like not right now, after the session. There are detailed steps. Give it a try. And if you're still struggling with it, my request for you is, as I said, we have this forum thing. Where is that? Hold on. Let me just open that again. So this is the fourth link, guys, the fourth link in the one sheet. If you go to the fourth link in the one sheet, I do have forum, and this is where you can ask me specific questions. Because right now, if you're facing a JIT issue, I wouldn't know how to fix it, my friend. I don't have a way to understand what might be going wrong, because when JIT is not working, there are 10 different things that can be going wrong. But here, you can post your question and we can discuss until a resolution is achieved.
Very clear. What's your question?
So my request to you is read the article, watch this video. And like I said, if you go back to the one sheet, I've made a, I have put a collection here. Let me just open that for you as well, since you're asking. I have uploaded, look at this. I uploaded some 10 videos about GitHub. It is that big. I think there's one video which is like 1 hour. Where is that? Look at this. Look at this. The first video, how to use GitHub. It's 1 hour, just GitHub. So my request to you is go through the videos one by one. It'll take you 5 hours, 10 hours, maybe, just to learn Git, but it is worth it though. And then give it a try. If you're still stuck, come to the discussion forum, post your question, and I promise I will help you.
You've got to take the time, ladies and gentlemen, to get into this, as we have repeated over and over again. 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, whatever is required, you've got to put in do the sacrifice that is necessary in order to master this topic. What do you have for us today, Ismail Adebola?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Good morning. Thank you, sir. My question is this: what are the best practices for optimizing JavaScript performance in web applications?
Right. So look, that is a very, very open-ended question, though.
Yes, yes.
But I'll make my best effort to answer it. Look, the thing is, this is not the 1990s, so we don't have to actually do anything in terms of performance optimization except to use a framework which already has optimization built into it. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, like right now, for example, I'm working with a US startup where we are trying to build a small software, and it is a startup, right? They're trying to build a software to buy and sell cars. So what we did was we did an evaluation of all the available frameworks. And then after much discussion, I'm going to just open that as for you as I'm talking to you. So we eventually decided the best thing to do is we are just going to use Next.js to build our car buy and sell platform. I was able to convince the client this is what we are going to do, because obviously, I'm getting paid to work on it and build the project and everything. So why did I choose this framework? Why not just build everything by hand? The reason is simple, guys. In the olden days, we had to, when I say older, I'm talking about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when things were still new. We had to build every small component. We had to take care of, like you said, optimizations and stuff like that, database management, authentication, deployment, library management. We had to do all that by hand. I remember, back in 2012, 2015, we used to have a lot of projects where we would build things on our own and we had to do our own optimizations. But now we simply pick a framework, and these are libraries which are being developed by really expensive and talented developers. So they would have squeezed every possible performance out of the code. So my answer to your question is, for the sake of a student project or even a startup project, we need not worry about optimization, because you choose a good framework, the optimization is done for you. Now, does it mean your job is done as a developer? Well, that's really the idea. The code and the framework is already done for you. You still have to optimize things when you're working on database, but that question, that the database part is really out of the scope of our program. But yes, the straight answer to your question is no, my friend. If I were you, I wouldn't worry too much about optimizing your code. Again, this is my opinion as one developer. I'm not saying you should not do any optimized stuff. As me, as a guy who's been working for 10 plus years in software development, I've stopped worrying about performance optimization because it's already done.
All right. Every question is important, brothers and sisters, very participants. So do not hesitate to make your voices heard and just jump in and ask your question. Pretty much like Ibtisam Daher asked, where can we use this program? I understand this is also very open-ended, but pretty much like I just said, ask any question that hits your mind and Professor Jay will be very pleased to answer. Professor Jay, well, can we use this programming question from Ibtisam Daher?
Professor, here when they're saying this program, what are they referring to? Are they talking about JavaScript as a programming language, or Next.js as a framework, or GitHub as a tool?
This is the reason
I'm
why
not
I
getting the
said
context,
this
Professor.
is why I said it is very, very open-ended, whichever way you want to tackle it,
Okay, okay.
because
Then let me just cover all three of them and connect that to this question, Professor.
okay,
So where would you use JavaScript? Let me start with that. Now, JavaScript is the most powerful, not powerful, popular programming language today. So you learn JavaScript, you can use it for front-end development, back-end development. Well, that's all you can do in software. It's either front-end or back-end. So that is where JavaScript is used. Now, Git is a version control tool used for backing up your code and collaborating with your team members. Where would you use it? Everywhere. Any kind of software development, whether it is JavaScript, C#, .NET, Python, machine learning, AI, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You will end up using GitHub and Git in any kind of technology project. Finally, I talked about Next.js. Where would you use Next.js framework? You would use Next.js framework for any kind of server-side projects. Okay, so whenever you want a framework which can be used to build backend plus front end, we call them full stack software, right? So full stack web apps, that is where you would use Next.js. So these are the three things we have covered today, guys, and that is where you would use them. I hope that was a very open question, Professor. I've given the best answer I can think
oh
of.
yes, you've done your very best. Very dear participants, please remember, anytime you are overly confused about what's going on now with the topic of JavaScript, Professor J is kind enough to allow you to double check with him and ask him questions even after the session has ended. You may still get in touch with him and ask questions. Like he said, he receives tons of questions every day, and he usually takes the time to respond, even if it takes 24 or more hours. Let's go for the last question because we have unfortunately run out of time. The last question is going to be with Maxwell Tipa. Maxwell, let us hear what you have in terms of question or comment.
Okay, can you hear me?
Very well, that's very clear.
Thank you so much. Okay, my question to Professor Jay is, I know you've been to the industry, you've been into the industry for such a long time, maybe as a full stack developer. So I understand at times there's a time when JS interact with some other languages. There's some time when you face some challenges of having JS to interact with other languages. And if you have those moments or those scenarios, what are those which we may try maybe to help? Because I understand there's a possibility whereby these languages, they tend to interact to each other when you are encoding.
Well, the good thing is, as of now, the only other language that you have to type when you're working on JavaScript is SQL. Because for database related transactions, for database related work, you have to write some kind of SQL. So even if I'm building Next.js, for example, in the project I'm working with the startup guy, I think I'll be using the startup example in all my sessions because it's a big project I'm working on right now. So there we have decided to use PostgreSQL. So we have to write all database code using SQL. So you're writing JavaScript, but whenever you have to write some database code, like you're adding records, retrieving records, performing searches, you're deleting records, and that's all you do in database: find, create, read, delete, and update, right? So whenever we have to do that, we have to mix JavaScript with the SQL code of PostgreSQL. But again, it's very straightforward because we already know how to write SQL. We just need to pass the SQL as a argument for the JavaScript function, and the computer, the framework will take care of it. So is there a challenge? No, there isn't. Those kind of challenges no longer exist. Like I said, we are using frameworks now. Everything is already done for you. Every possible issue is already solved for you. The only issue is you have to write the SQL code. You should know SQL. And of course, these days you have AI and all. I'm a huge supporter of AI in coding. Some people are like, oh, it's going to take away a job. You can't stop technology. So that's an argument I'm not going to get into. For me, it's a
Yeah.
friend. So SQL, some people don't like it. I'm not a very good at SQL, but previously when I had to write something difficult in SQL, I would just ask a SQL friend. But now I just use AI, make my life easy. So anyway, so there are no challenges, my friend. So JavaScript needs SQL. Just write your SQL like you normally do. Pass it to the framework. It takes care of everything. You don't have to worry. They don't have to worry. Everybody's happy.
Very, very, very well said. I really love it. Very, very pleased, Professor Jay, and I hope this is the impression of everyone else, especially when with you, the session doesn't end up here. You